Good morning, everyone. It's hard to get up after a gin. Well done. We're going to start today just on our knees in Anahatasana or thereabouts. So just using your exhale to sink the chest down. If you're a little tighter through your neck and shoulders, keep your elbows a bit closer. Otherwise, you can reach them out in front. Using that exhale to just sink the chest down. And the inhale to expand through those lower ribs. And if there's no restriction in your shoulders, just walk your elbows a bit closer to the head. And you can pull the thumbs towards the back of the neck. Breathing in. And out to sink the chest towards the mat. And then we'll just take both hands down. And then I want you to use your elbows just to support the body as you walk your hips down to the mat. Hands down underneath the head. And just start to floss heels in towards bottom. Just watching that your feet are not kind of going out to the side like an egg beater. You want to keep those heels coming in towards your bum. And if you feel like you're going to cramp up through the back of the legs, just curl your toes and then push the heels away. Otherwise, just keep that movement happening. And I want you to feel like both feet are tapping. So sometimes with this movement, you might sort of bang down really hard with one foot and feel like the other foot doesn't tap, okay? So it's really good brain training to get both feet tapping with the same amount of force. And then just let that relax. Then yogi is just a really easy back bend. So just push into the forearms with the chest. Tuck the chin a little so you're long through the back of the neck. And then if you've got the oomph to bring those hands back just to touch the side of the glutes, take it there, elbows pointing up, fill the chest up with your breath. And then when you bring your hands around under the head, try not to let the hands touch the ground. So that's good for the back of the shoulders. Pop those hands in, head down. And then just that baby cobra again, we're going to lift up through the chest, fly those arms back next to the hips, elbows pointing straight up. And if your back is feeling good, squeeze your glutes, lifting both feet off the ground as well. Keep the legs straight. And then maybe you can lift your hands. And then taking both hands back around underneath the head, relax the hips. And then curl under through the toes, hands either side of the chest. Now push into your knees to pop your hips up a bit. And then squeeze your elbows in towards the ribs. Round up, just come onto all fours, let the head tuck. Rounding through the tail. And in this position, even feel like your knees are trying to drag apart from one another. And then we're going to lift up into down dog or just take Anahatasana again. It's up to you. So Anahatasana with the elbows down and arms reaching forward, or start to lift up into down dog. Then just walking the heels, alternate. One and then the other, down to the mat. Okay, so walk up to the top of the mat. Now, if you feel like you're a bit tight through your hammies and your feet don't quite make it, just walk your hands back to your feet. Keep your feet about sit bone width apart. Inhale, halfway lift. Draw your shoulders back, but tuck the tail under. And then fold again. Knees will bend, just waking up into the hammies really gently. Belly towards thighs, hands. And then just roll up nice and slow. Just let the arms hang. Weight coming back into the heels. Maybe reach the arms up overhead. And then take those hands down through heart space. Okay, so let's prepare for our sun salutes. Come up to the top of the mat. Palms forward. Just lift and spread your toes. Let your weight fall back into your heels. And we'll inhale, reach the arms up. Give your glutes a little squeeze here, and then exhale, bend the knees again, folding forward. Head heavy. Inhale, lift up about halfway. So you might keep your fingertips down, or you might take your hands up towards the knees. Again, draw shoulders back, sit bones towards the heels, and fold again, forward bend. Now get your fingers just a little in front. Now I'm going to grip with the fingertip pads, but keep the heels of the hands lifting. And I'll push forward with my hands as I step my right foot back. Just dropping down into an easy lunge. Take a little breath here. Push that back heel away. You can use a couple of blocks either side of that front foot. Or again, just stay on the fingertip pads. If the heels of the hands come down because you're a little lower in your lunge, that's great. But try not to let your hips hang. So you want to be really active through that back leg. Again, your heel's not pressing down, it's pressing straight back. Now let's take a little twist. So I'm going to keep my right hand down. Take the left hand either onto the left hip. Unlock your right elbow. Or you can lift your left arm up. If you're a bit tight through your shoulders, just keep your hand on your hip. And then try to track your knee, your front knee, towards the pinky toe side of the foot. And your back leg is also externally rotating a little bit, like a clam movement, so that that back knee is not sinking in. So you're active in your back hip, all right? Big breath. Look up towards the left hand here if your neck allows. Now let's frame that front foot. You've got plank or just a half plank on the knees. Hold it for a breath. And then a slow chaturanga. So with the elbows back, and as you come down nice and slow, you're going to work on your triceps and biceps by making the movement as slow as you can. And then push down through your hips. Then just a little lift with the chest. And we're going to lift our hands with us as well. Just a baby cobra. And then hands to the mat, rest the forehead. Now, push with your knees to pop your hips up. And then lift it back up onto all fours. And take it back up into your down dog. Perhaps use your foggy throat breath to exhale. And then take your time to walk your feet up to your hands. So remember, if you're a little bit shorter through the legs, just come halfway up and then walk hands to feet. Halfway lift the Ardha Uttanasana, shoulders drawing back, sit bones tucking under, and then fold. Give your knees a little bit of a bend, feel tight through your hammies. Head heavy. And roll up slow. Keep your weight in your heels. Arms reaching overhead. And then take hands back to heart center. So once you're up, straight legs, glutes on, and it's almost like you're trying to drag your feet apart from one another. And then we'll take hands back beside hips. So if you're inched a little back on your mat, just step up to the top of the mat. And reach arms overhead. Breathe in, glutes on. Feel like your feet are dragging apart from one another. So you're really active in your legs. Folding forward. Again, bend the knees to allow for those hammies head heavy. Take a little bit of a halfway lift. I'm going to grip with my fingertip pads, but lift up through the heel of the hand. And then I'm going to push my left foot back as I push my palms forward. And then just adjust your hands so they're either side of that front foot. And pushing away either with a block on that left hand, unlock your elbow, right hand to right hip. And if your shoulder feels open, you can lift your right arm up. So in this position, both of my hips are clamming open. So you want to open through the knees without letting the knee kind of come out to the pinky toe side of the foot too much. So your knee is actually tracking forward, but you're rolling open through the hips so you can feel your glute engaged. And if you're super bendy, your left elbow will want to lock or even hyperextend. So you'll have to just give a little bit of a baby bend there at the elbow. Breathe. And now let's frame that front foot. Take a full plank, hold or half plank on the knees. And chaturanga, super slow. So we're going to work on our tuck shop arms and go really, really slow. Slow as you can. Push forward through the heel of the hand. And then we'll take the hips down. Toes point away. Inhale, baby cobra. So lift your hands so the back of the hands are pointing towards the front of the shoulder. Fill the chest with your breath. So we back bend by inflating the chest rather than sort of pushing too hard into that low back. Now hands down, rest the forehead down. Curl the toes. And just pop the hips. So when you pop your hips, it's like you're trying to draw your knees into your belly. Just make that movement. And then keep the knees pulling into the belly. Take down dog or anahatasana. Elbows unlocked if you're in down dog. Index fingers pushing down into the mat. Sit bones pointing towards the heels. Tailbone a little bit tucked. And even if the heels are down, you're not trying to sort of jam into the front of the foot. There's a sense that you're trying to slide the heels back. So we're keeping the joints open. Now look up to the top of the mat, walk your feet forward, or you can try a little bit of a float. Inhale, halfway lift when you arrive, fingers low or up high, shoulders drawing back, sit bones towards the heels. Fold again, bend the knees accordingly, head heavy. And then roll up to stand again, weight back into your heels, lift up, arms overhead. And exhale, hands back to heart. Hands either side of the hips. Inhale, reach arms overhead, glutes on. Feel like your feet want to drag apart from one another. Folding forward, exhale. Now take a little bit of a halfway lift and push forward with the hands as you step your right foot back. And then this time we're going to lift up into a lunge. So I'm going to keep my right heel up, but if you're a little off balance, you can take the pinky toe side, that right foot down. Just means your hips aren't square to the front of the mat, that's okay. It's better for your knee and ankle if you can balance to take the heel up and frame the short edge of your mat, all right? But remember, it is totally fine just to bring that back heel down if you're a bit off balance. Just be mindful of your knee. Take a couple of breaths. Try and engage your back glute and keep your tailbone tucked under. Now, when you come down to frame your front foot, really push that back heel away. So you're creating some counterbalance and not allowing the front knee to drift over that front heel. Unlock the elbows, plank pose, tuck the tailbone under, ribs in towards the belly button. Now bring the knees down if you like, or just chaturanga slow with the knees up. And then bring the belly down. Baby cobra, lift your hands, breathe in. Then hands down, forehead down. Curl the toes. So push your knees into the ground. Let the hips pop up. And push forward with the heels of the hands, keeping the elbows in. And either a down dog or you can take Anahatasana. And we're going to take 5 breaths here. So breathing in deeply, exhale completely. If you've got a little bit of impingement in your shoulders or soreness through your elbows, just keep your arms back a little bit more and that'll take that pressure off. If there's no issue with your shoulders and you're in Anahatasana, you can walk your elbows closer to your head and pull the hands back behind the neck. And if you're in down dog, again, just keep the elbows a little bit unlocked. Hard the breath out like you could fold up your mat as if to polish a mirror with your breath. Okay, make your way back up to down dog so that you can walk your feet back up to the top of the mat. Inhale as you arrive, taking that pressure off the back. Shoulders going open, sit bones tucked towards heels. And then fold, bending the knees accordingly. Hands either side of the feet. Let the head be heavy. Then send your weight back into your heels. Roll up, tucking the lower spine under. Take your arms overhead, glutes on. Feel like your feet want to drag apart, legs active. Exhale, hands to heart. And hands facing forward, coming back to Samastiti. Now just try lifting and spreading all 10 toes, so you're super active in your legs. So Tadasana, mountain pose, is mountain-like. Even though our feet are in one place, it's mountain-like because we're trying to spread those feet open and you're really active in your legs. And reach the arms overhead, breathing in, glutes on a little bit. It might look like you're back bending, but it's not a back bend. Just because your glutes are on that, it appears so. Now exhale, bend the knees as you need, fold forward, head heavy. Now push forward with the hands just a little bit, just to counterbalance, stepping your left foot back. Remember, Virabhadrasana 1 is available to you here, so you can take the pinky toe side of that back foot down. If you want to care for your knees a bit more and you've got enough balance, lift the back heel up. So both hips are square to the short edge of the mat, and you can activate your back glute and tuck the tailbone under a little bit. Just try spreading the toes on your left foot, just so that you've got equal pressure right at the back of the heel and across the ball of the foot. Sometimes we grip with our toes and that'll cause us to drift forward. We don't want that. Breathing deeply. And as you frame your front foot, really send your back heel away. And then we'll step back into a plank position or straight to half plank on the knees. Now see how slow you can go. Really push away through the heel of your hand as you bend the elbows. And then once the chest is down, push down through the pubic bone, hips are soft. Inhale, baby cobra. You might only lift a little bit, that's cool. Take the hands up. Feel like your elbows are drawing into the ribs and the back of your hands feel like they're coming towards the front of the shoulders. Then take hands down, rest your forehead. Curl the toes. Push into the knees to pop your hips and feel like you're trying to drag your knees up to your belly as you lift up. Rounds through the back. Again, you've got down dog, child's pose, or you can drop to your elbows, then walk elbows a little wider and take Anahatasana. So take 5 breaths. It's up to you how you want to take this position. If you're up and down dog, try to keep the elbows a little bit unlocked. So you've got some space at your collarbone. So the collarbones are not crowding in towards the neck. They're kind of smiling open. Work on that Ujjayi breath. So we're trying to draw the breath in as if we're trying to suck it in through the ears where you feel it more at the back of the throat. Now look up to the top of the mat. Walk your feet up. If the feet don't come all the way to the top of the mat, walk hands back to feet. And inhale, lift up about halfway again. Smile, collarbones open. Exhale, fold it forward, head heavy. And roll up to stand, weight back into the heels, circle arms up, breathe in, glutes on feet, dragging open. And hands to heart center. Just rest your arms by your side. Again, maybe lift all 10 toes. Let the weight fall back into the heels. Inhale, reach arms up. Feel like you're dragging open through your feet a little bit more. Glutes on. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then again, really push forward through your hands. Then step the right foot back. And then tuck the tail under Virabhadrasana 1 or lift up to a lunge. Try not to let your front knee drift forward. So you're really pushing forward through that front heel. Yogis, here, let's bring the hands to the heart. Again, if you're a bit off balance, it's okay to bring that back foot down. And then turn so you're looking over your left shoulder. You've got to use a bit of balance here. Point your right arm forward and your left arm back. So you've got a little bit of rotation, turning in towards that bev leg side. Again, take it down with your right hand and try to keep that left arm up. If you're a bit off balance, it's okay to bring your back knee down. Again, think about that external rotation through your hips. So we're not going so far that we're spilling onto the pinky toe side of the foot, but we're rolling open from the hip joint so as to stop the knees from bowing in. Breathe nice and deep. And don't hang on the hip joint. Your back leg's really active. You should feel your back glute switch on. And you're strongly pushing forward through your left heel. So your left knee doesn't drift over the top of that left ankle. Now let's drop our left hand down and then step back into plank or just take the back knee down and go to half plank on the knees. Now, if you're getting a bit sore through your wrists, instead of chaturanga, you can take your forearms down and then walk the knees back and then bring the hips down. Okay, if there's no issues with the wrist, chaturanga down. Inhale, baby cobra, hold it there. Again, elbows in. Feel like the top of your wrists are pointing towards the front of the shoulders. And breathe, filling up the front of the chest. Now take hands down either side of the chest, curl toes, rest the forehead. Keep the low back relaxed, hips are soft to start with. And then imagine you're trying to drag your knees into your belly to pop your hips. Keep the elbows in and lift up onto all fours. Again, if your wrists are a bit sore, instead you're going to bring your elbows down and then push with your forearms, walk the knees in, and then take it back to down dog or anapatasana. Okay, so I know some of us have got some wrist injury. That means that this movement is a little bit tricky. So again, forearms down, push with your elbows, and then take it up into the hands. All right? So down dog, anapatasana, or somewhere in between is where we're meeting. If you're in your down dog, unlock your elbows. Like your collarbones are smiling away from the midline. If the knees are a little bent, it's okay to walk that movement and alternate it from side to side. If you're on your knees, make your way to down dog. Start to walk your way up to the top of the mat, lift onto the fingertip pads, halfway lift. If you're lifting the hands off the ground, knees straight, quads on, collarbones smile open. Exhale, hands either side of the feet, just let the head be heavy. And as you lift up, weight into the heels, but also feel like your feet are dragging open, and that's going to support your back. Hands over your head. Exhale, hands to heart. And taking Tadasana, palms facing forward. Inhale, arms reaching up. Exhale, bend the knees accordingly, folding forward. Lift the chest a little, push forward through your hands. We're going to take our lunge. So step left foot back. And then lift all the way up, pushing forward through that right heel. That glute switched on. Remember, you want to push your heel back as opposed to down. And just try and track your front knee towards the pinky toe side of the foot. And you can give your elbows a little bit of a bend, so you're a bit more, who cares, with those arms rather than really rigid. So you've got some space at the front of the shoulders. Now as you come down, counterbalance that movement by sending the back heel away. Let's twist again. Push away through the heel of the left hand, right hand to right hip, or maybe right arm lifting up. So trying just to externally rotate the knees out towards the pinky toe side, although they don't actually point out that far, and we're not lifting the ball of the foot. So we're keeping that mound of our big toe down. Not sinking into the hips too deep or letting the front knee drift forward because we're pushing straight down, and trying to slide the right heel forward. Keep your left elbow unlocked. And frame that front foot. Back knee straight down, or take a plank. Half plank on the knees. And chaturanga. Remember, if the wrists are a little bit sore, come to your elbows first. Walk the knees back a little. And then you can chaturanga down like so, hips to the mat. Bring the forehead down, hands back beside the chest. Inhale, push into the pubic bone, lift the chest, and also lift your hands. Breathe in. So as you fill the upper lungs, you're going to inflate the body just to lift a bit deeper. Hands down, rest the forehead down, let the back completely relax. Then curl your toes. Lift the hips by dragging the knees in towards the belly button. Push away through the heels of the hands. Anustasana or child's pose or downward dog, 5 breaths. Or you can just work through cow and cat if you like. Again, if your wrists are a little bit sore, you can work your cow and cat with your elbows down and just work on moving the hips and rolling through the head. Okay, so don't get stuck in this idea that you've got to have this right angle happening at the wrists all of the time. Adapt as you need, okay? There is no yoga police going to come around and slap your wrists with your ankles. I once lived in Saudi Arabia. It was a real thing where if you're exposing too much skin, the police would come and give you one of these around the ankles. True story. Not so here. Make up your own rules, all right? So once you're in your down dog, we'll walk it up to the top of the mat again. If the feet don't make it to the hands, walk hands back to feet. Inhale, lift the chest halfway, hands up or down, your choice. Fold forward, let your head be heavy. And then roll up. Keep the weight in the heels. Feel like your feet drive apart as you lift those arms up. And then hands coming down through heart space. Relax your arms by your side. Okay, we're going to take chair pose, Utkatasana. So sit into the hips a little, track your knees straight ahead. Arms reach up, or just take it to the heart if your shoulders are a bit tight. Breathe in. Then breathe out, bring hands just in front of shoulders like you're saying stop. Weight into your right leg, lift off your left heel and just plant your left toes down. So you take your foot back a little bit. So your toes are behind that right foot, just offset. And then as you press forward with your hands, you can step your left foot back, come onto the pinky toe side of the foot and take warrior two. Now, as I've externally rotated and come into warrior two with the back leg, I've just done a little sneak off my right foot where I need it to be, so I can still externally rotate the hip so my knee wants to point towards the pinky toe side of the foot. Now, if you take your palms up in warrior two, drop your elbows a bit lower than your shoulders, kind of like this precaires movement again. It's going to take tension off that brachial plexus, so it'll relax the upper traps. Now drop your left hand just behind the left hip. Inhale, reach that right arm up. And then come into your side angle pose. Hand to knee, forearm to knee, or hand to mat. Now I'm going to use the front of my left hand just to push into the tailbone and ask my hips to point forward as I roll the chest open. So you want your chest not facing down if possible, you want it out to the side. And if there's no issue with your left shoulder, you can reach that left arm forward. Watch any drift with that front knee. So you want to keep your knee a little bit back. Maybe even try and lift and spread your right toes. And again, embrace your inner ballerina with your arms overhead and just bend that left elbow a little bit so that you're not crowding your shoulder and your neck with your arm. Reverse, so lift up, left hand behind left hip, push away with that right heel, straighten right knee, right arm up, breathe in. Now take the hands to the hips, shuffle that back foot in a little bit closer, all right? Now, Trikonasana triangle pose, we're going to unlock the right knee. Just do your little teapot forward with your shoulder. Take your right hand in front of the right knee. And then lift into your triangle by pointing your left sit bone towards your right heel and trying to straighten that right leg. If your back or hips aren't happy, keep a bit of a bend in your knee and you can just rest the heel of the hand on top of the knee. Right? Otherwise, the hand is nailed into the front of that right knee and it's almost like you're trying to lift back up. So you're activating the hip flexors and creating space through the front of the body. Unlock the right knee, reverse your triangle now, left hand down, right arm up, breathe in. Then hands to hips. Okay, sneak the right foot to the right a little bit. Pivot on the ball of that back foot. And one giant leap forward or a few little bunny hops forward to the top of the mat. Inhale, arms reaching up. Let's fold forward. Exhale. Take a halfway lift. Breathe in. Exhale, head drops again. And roll back up. Wade into the heels. Arms overhead. Glutes on, feet like they want to spread open. And hands back to heart center. Relax your arms by your side. Breathing in, arms overhead. And then exhale to Utkatasana, bringing those hands to the front of the shoulders like you're saying stop. Just check the tracking of your feet and your knees. So don't have duck's feet with the knees in or out. Toes straight ahead, knees straight over those three middle toes. Weight into the left leg, pop your right toes back a little bit. And then you can straighten the left leg a bit, hands forward, As you take your foot back, open to Virabhadrasana 2. And just adjust your front foot. Take the palms to face up and then relax the shoulders. And then you can push those hands away a little bit. Don't let your shoulders lift up. Drop right hand behind right hip, reverse warrior, inhale. And then into your side angle, either just your hand or your forearm down into that left leg. Use your right hand just to push the tailbone forward a little. And try to get the chest so that it's lifting up. Maybe right arm reaching away. Bend the elbow a little bit so you're not crowding the neck. Still feel like you're trying to roll the hips open, but still keeping big toe mound of your left foot down. Now push away through that left heel as you lift up, reverse. You can straighten the left leg. Left arm lifts, inhale. Hands to hips, shorten your stance, so sneak the right foot in a bit closer. Trikonasana. So unlock the left knee a little bit. It's not a lunge, it's just unlocked. And then tilt the hips forward, left hand just to the front of that left knee. And then straighten that left leg as you point your right sit bone towards your right heel. If the back of the hips are unsteady, bend the left knee and lock your left arm out to rest on top of that left knee. If the hand can float and you've got good stability in your joints, there's a sense that you're trying to lift the left side rib cage up and away from the top of that left thigh. Breathe. And then reverse your triangle, unlock front knee, drop right hand behind right hip with left arm up, breathe in. Hands to hips, sneak left foot to the left a little. Sneak right foot in, pivot on the ball of that right foot, and try and step back up to the top of the mat. Hands by your side. Let's do a half salute. Inhale, lengthen arms overhead. Exhale, folding forward. Hand heavy, bend the knees. Take a halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, forward fold. Roll up to stand again, lift all 10 toes, weight into the heels, curl up, stack the spine. Once you're up, feel like your feet drag open, hands overhead, weight a little into the heels, glutes on. It might look like you're back bending, but it's just, again, those glutes switching on, and hands to heart center. And then just relax the arms by your side. And then I want you to close your eyes. So we're going to prepare for a balance. And simply closing our eyes will get the brain and the joints ready to balance. Okay. Now open the eyes. Let's take hands to hips. Weight into the right leg, just lift up the left heel. So you don't have to step the foot back this time, but we're just lifting up the left heel. Externally rotate knee out to the side. So if you take care of elderly parents, if you're lucky enough to have them in your life still, try to get them to do this every day, just taking weight into one leg, lift up the heel and externally rotate. This movement is so crucial to stopping us if we lose a little bit of balance. And it's the difference between falling on the ground with a broken hip and life in a nursing home. Right, so really important movement. Now, if you're good with your balance, you can lift up and just let your toe touch the ground to catch your balance. If there's no issue with your knee and you can hold it there, take it there. And if you've got a bit of yoga experience, you can grab the front of the shin and then try for a tree pose. So to hold my foot here, I'm not really pushing the foot into the thigh aggressively. I'm tucking the tailbone under, which grips the heel and the inner thigh together. If you've got good balance, you can take your arms up. And if you've got even better balance, try taking your right hand over your right eye. And then swap, so you're taking your left hand over your left eye. And then we'll bring arms down. When you land like a gymnast with the knees facing forward and then straighten. Okay, that's going to help any sort of twisting that might be happening in the knees after that balance. Again, hands to hips, but close your eyes and try lifting all 10 toes. Head up, breathe. Might just seem like really boring movement, but you'll appreciate it in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, maybe 40, 50 years' time, if they're lucky enough. Then open your eyes, steady your gaze, lift up the right heel, externally rotate so your knee pops out to the side. If your balance is a bit off or you're rehabbing an injury in the knee or the ankle, just lift up your toe a little bit and you're going to support any misbalance just by catching yourself with your toe. If you're a little more practiced, you can take your foot to your inner shin, or you can hook your foot up into the inside of the leg. Again, tuck the tailbone under, and then you should feel your adductors activate when you tuck the tail, and that's going to hold your foot to your knee. If your foot's really high up your leg, add bandha behind the knee. So you're just squeezing the muscles behind the knee like you're trying to hold on to something with your knee. Arms up if you're steady there. And then take left hand over left eye. Keeping the eyes open. Try not to clench your toes. And then take opposite hand onto the right eye. Arms up. And then just try and sneak the eyes closed. Maybe you'll just squint through your eyelashes, or maybe you'll close them all the way down. It's really tricky to hold your balance with closed eyes. When you land, try and land like a gymnast with those motorbike legs, and then take it straight. Let's inhale, reach arms up overhead. Exhale, fold it forward. Halfway lift for me, yogis. Collarbone broad, sit bones to heels. Exhale, forward bend. And then inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart space. So we're going to try a much stronger balance. If you're a bit off balance, what is going to help you instead is to come into bird dog. So take one leg back, opposite arm forward. Okay, so this helps to build your balance. If you're okay with your balance, let's come into a half moon pose. So breathe in, arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward, hands down in front of the feet. Now, if you've got blocks, you can use a block underneath your right hand here to help a little bit. Now, unlock your right knee a bit and then squeeze your left glute so you can lift your left leg up. Again, if this is a little bit off or you've got apprehension or injury in that right knee, come down onto all fours and you're just lifting your left leg like so. And then you can take it up and down if you need to. All right? Otherwise, keep hands in front of your feet. Lift that left leg up. So your focus here is on your standing leg, not your lifted leg. So make sure your knee is unlocked, it's not bowing in. You can lift and spread the right toes. And if you've got a strong standing leg, externally rotate your left hip so that the pinky toe side of your left foot faces towards the ceiling. Okay, so you've got the pinky toe side of that left foot holding the ceiling up. And then just come onto the left fingertip pads. And then lift the left hand up a little, and it can take your body weight down if you feel unsteady. But if you're balanced, take your left hand onto your left hip. Try and open the chest. And eventually we try and lift up that left arm. Now when we come out, again, it's that little motorbike bend with both hands down so your knees are straight ahead. And we'll roll up. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, hands to heart space. So remember, option just to take your bird dog and alternate. This is going to help with your balance. Level 2, harder option, we'll take our half moon pose. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. But bring your hands a little bit in front of your feet. You can use a block under that left hand. I just grip with my fingertip pads and lift the heel of the hand, right? Focus on your standing leg. Then try taking your right toes back and maybe squeezing the right glute and lifting that right leg up. Eyeball your left knee. Is it feeling apprehensive like it wants to lock out? Come to bird dog. If you're good here, externally rotate your right foot so the toes point out to the side. Push away with the heel of that left hand or left fingertips. Just lift your right hand up and it stays close to the ground to catch you if you need it. Or you can take your right hand onto your right hip. Start to externally rotate. If you fall, just fall with a little bit of a bend in your knee. And if you're good here, right hand up, gaze lifts eventually. This is a really tricky position. When you come out, again, bend with both knees. Just make sure that your knees face straight ahead. And then we'll roll back up. Well done. Weight into the heels. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, weight into the heels, hands to heart center. Well done. Arms by your side. We'll take it to the mat. Inhale, arms reaching up. Now exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Now just take it down to sitting if you can't squat. If your knees allow you to squat, give thanks for that because it's not available to everyone. And point the knees straight ahead as you face them forward. If you're comfortable here and you've got a bit of balance, try bringing hands to heart. And then your knees push open as you pull your elbows in, and that's going to lock you in. Try tucking the tail, lifting the chest. Feel like you're really on the balls of the feet rather than just gripping the toes. And then we'll come to a seat. Try again to walk your hands back a little bit and slowly bring the hips down. Or fall like a sack of potatoes, it doesn't really matter. So once we're down, we'll straighten out through both legs and just bring your hands back behind the hips here a little bit. So if you draw your toes back towards your knees and switch on your quads, you'll feel that straighten through the legs. If you've got good mobility through your low back and your hammies, you can walk your hands up a little bit further forward. So what kind of undoes our seated position sometimes is when we come onto the sit bones, we try and sit up really straight in 180 with the upper body. Just let your upper body soften. You might feel like you're slouching, but it's just relaxed, right? Now, let's fold forward gently. If you've got some back issues or your hammies are really tight, sneak your heels in a bit closer. Imagine you're trying to drag your heels in. And then they're stuck to the mat, but you're still dragging them in. Now we want belly to thigh. So we fold from the midsection like a piece of paper creased in the middle, rather than rounding the edges of the paper, hands to toes. Okay, so we've got belly to thighs, dragging heels in actively. Then I'll breathe in to lift the chest. And then I'll exhale and just lift the upper body forward with that out breath. And then if the legs feel pliable, I'll start to walk the heels away and fold a bit deeper. And then I might bring the hands a bit further forward. But then I push with the heels of the hands and I push forward with the heels of the hands. And then I won't actually bring the heels any closer, but I'll imagine that I'm trying to drag them in. So my legs are lifting towards the belly. Maybe breathe in again, heels of the hands push forward. And then let all of that pushing and pulling soften and just bow the head a little bit. And again, I'll drag heels back, push forward with the heels of the hands, breathe in, and then I'll just bow the head a bit. And then over time, you might feel that you can start to push those heels away and come a little bit deeper. I've still got my knees up a bit. I'm not dragging them in. It's just the limit of my hammies. And if you have good mobility here, just make an L shape with your hands. Push the fingers to the pinky toe sides of the feet. And then if you plan to flex like you're on your accelerator with your foot, as you pull the fingers in towards the foot, you can create a active stretch here using proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, PNF. So as I push forward with my hands, with my feet rather, but resist with my fingers, my quads engage, and with quads engaged, my hamstrings have to lengthen. The quads will tell your hamstrings they have to lengthen if they're engaged. So if your legs are really floppy and you're pulling into this, your hammies will tighten, okay? There is no safe way and realistic way to be in Paschimottanasana, this forward bend, unless you can activate your quads. If that's too strong, again, just keep that vinyasa happening. Knees bend up, push heel of hands away, begin, and then exhale, fold. Okay, so let's come out nice and safely. Again, we'll shorten the back of the legs a little bit, so drag those heels in and lift up. Pop your hands just behind you, and then you can straighten out through your legs. That's a very good downward round. Very good. Now you've got the option to unlock your elbows and lift to Paschimottanasana, incline plane just by squeezing your glutes, or you've got the option to bend your knees and pop your feet in, unlock your elbows, and then squeeze the glutes to lift up. Doesn't matter really how high you lift, but you want to squeeze your glutes in a bit of a counter position. And then pop those hips down. All right, let's take it all the way to the mat. So rolling down, we'll just come onto one elbow and then the other, lie flat on the mat. And then legs out in front. Take those palms to face up. Now, if this is really uncomfortable on your back, just pop a bolster underneath the knees. So in this position, just point your toes straight up and pull your toes back towards your knees. Give your glutes a bit of a squeeze. And then just let the legs completely relax. And then we'll do the same with the arms. We'll lift the arms up a little bit, spread the fingers wide. And then just let the arms relax. Rest the head down. Breathing in deeply. Exhaling completely. So try not to rush away through the day just yet. We want to build our witness awareness. So we're just watching the body be breathed, letting the breath take its own rhythm, breathing in and breathing out. And every time the mind drifts away, just guide it back on course to the breath. Just guiding it back gently, just like a pilot steers a plane back onto course. So in Shavasana, eventually we even let go of that anchoring of attention to the breath. All of our yoga practice, our asana, our postures, our breathing, our mudras, our pranayama, all of the techniques that we use are simply tools just to discipline the mind and the body to prepare for meditative and contemplative practices. So the attention is somewhere between sleep and somewhere between wakefulness. But again, cultivating that witness mentality. And you can spend as long as you like in your Shavasana today. And when you're ready to move back into the day, you can simply start to wiggle fingers and toes. Give a good stretch to the body. Roll onto the side and then come to a comfortable seat. Each Om in this life improves our samskara, guaranteeing a better life in the next. Or complete union back into the universe. All right, Namaste.